like you are an island alone. Do you feel anxious bouts of anxiety when watching the news or doing benign tasks like gardening with friendly gnomes? Well, there is a cure, and there is hope. The generational gap is an over-the-counter medication, and when taken twice weekly, combined with ample exercise, has been proven to decrease mood swings, depression, and chronic diarrhea. Believe in yourself again. The generational gap is in no way a cure to anything. Only a doctor can prescribe medication, although at least one member of the gap would like to be able to do so. Side effects may include hallucinations and brief out-of-body experiences. Use only as directed. Believe in yourself. Believe in the gap.
Here we go. Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
Hey, folks, welcome to the Generational Gap. I am Robert, your resident Gen Xer, and right over there is John. I believe he is our resident millennial. John, how are you doing tonight?
Fan-fucking-tastic, of course. Had to make sure I get that fucking in right at the beginning.
It's very important that you do that and ruin all our credibility right at the beginning.
That's right. Well, I want people to know what they're in for, you know? If they're brand new or something, they don't know. Now you know.
It's all about the newbies. Hey, John, did you ever get your air conditioning fixed?
No. That's why I sound like a man on the street kind of interview at the moment. I have a box fan over there. Because we live in Florida, and we don't get cold here. Doesn't matter what time of the year it is, it's going to be fucking hot. And, yeah, so I got a box fan going, so if you guys can hear that out there, sorry. Hopefully it's only for this episode, maybe Monday.
It's nothing horrible. It's better than seeing you sweat. I mean, you know, when it's all
said. Okay, me too, man. It's so, yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's nothing worse than a chubby man sweating.
It's true.
So good. At least you've got some air conditioning. How's your week been going, John? It's been good. It's been awesome. It's been the best thing ever.
Super fucking busy. I haven't had time for anything while I was at work. So
nothing. Yeah. So you've missed out.
Nothing.
You've missed out on America the week.
Yeah. I DVR'd the last episode, but I haven't gotten to it yet.
So that means what you're telling me is that you need me to bring you as much information as I can from the last week.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right.
That's what we do here.
So, folks, we're going to try and give John the heads up on what's been going on this week. There's only been a few things here and there, nothing terribly exciting, but some things that are kind of excitingly terrible. So if you haven't already, hit the like button. If you haven't done so before, please hit the subscribe button. But my guess is if you're here, you probably have. But it never hurts to suggest this to friends and family. It's always important that they subscribe to the same things you do, particularly your point of view. That way, you know, in the event of a revolution/apocalypse, you know whose side everybody's on. But outside of that, John, we've got something coming up besides Thanksgiving next week. Something special. I keep trying to remember the date of it and keep it all in my head. Can you remind myself and all the folks at home what's going on in a couple of weeks?
Yes. It is Friday, December 6th. I know I've said the 4th before because I'm an idiot, but the 6th, we're doing our 12-hour live stream for Toys for Tots. We'll be raising money for them. And so, yeah, that'll be awesome. We've actually got an addition to our guest list. Yes, we already mentioned that we have Matt Christensen coming on.
No way.
Yeah, so that'll be freaking sweet. And then we've also got Dev, Short Fat Otaku, is coming on as well. We've had both of them on the program before, and they're both awesome. I mean, except for Short Fat Otaku, he's Canadian, so he's as awesome as a Canadian can be, which isn't saying much, I guess. But he'll be here, so that'll be fun. And we're really hoping to, raise some money for some kids so they can have a good Christmas.
No way.
Yeah.
All right, so you're telling me that not only do we have Matt Christensen,
That's right.
but we also have Anna Voltus.
Well, yes. Anna Voltus and Matt are going to have a discussion about natural rights. So that'll be cool.
Then we have Short Fat Otaku.
Yes. Who you couldn't remember, which is funny. We're so popular and awesome. We've interviewed so many great people that we just can't keep them all in line,
I have trouble remembering foreign languages.
Yeah.
All right, so I updated the stream, the reader board. So now we've got more guests on board. They're going to be reminders for folks there. We've got that. I'm going to be going after the show. I'm going to go ahead and go on GoFundMe, and I'm going to set up a Toys for Tots charity. There it is, a donation site. I couldn't think of the word I was.
Moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Is it a boomer moment, or is it just wow?
You got a touch of the old timers disease.
Yeah, let's call it old timers. I've been afflicted with old timers. Great. I'll be setting up the GoFundMe, and then we're going to start. We're going to go ahead and spend the next couple of weeks, especially this coming week, while folks are feeling thankful and charitable as we approach the Thanksgiving holiday. So that'll be available, and we're going to, we'll make sure and put some reminders out there to folks that we're going to be doing that, because I'm not going to lie to you, John, any early donations we can get, hey, that thrills me.
Yeah.
We're going to be coming around with the popcorn order form, and we're going to expect all of you to sign up for at least one tin of $300 popcorn.
That's right. At least one.
All right, John. This week was interesting. So some things happened. So there's the first thing out of the chute. I'm very excited, John. I'm very excited. Can you see the excitement?
I can. Yeah. Right in your one of your eyes. The other one's not as excited, but one of your eyes is very, very excited.
The lazy eye is not as excited.
Yep.
So anyway, a bill is on the move through Congress.
Yes, yeah.
It has moved through the House. We have gotten an approval, the first step of approval for the decriminalization / legalization of marijuana. It is going to be declassified as a Schedule I drug. There is a plan being put into place as well. Part of this is going to be a rider that is going to set aside X amount of tax dollars acquired from the sale of marijuana that is going to go to reversing basically the war on drugs that focused on marijuana. We're gonna see a lot of people getting out of jail for marijuana crimes that they shouldn't be in jail for. It's interesting. I believe the federal government is basically finding they're just going to go ahead and have the balls to, they're not going to admit, hey, we've been screwing up for this many years. The money apportioned to help these people out of jail, get them out. I know you don't like that.
I'm conflicted about it. Because obviously they're using our tax money to do it.
Right.
However, I could think of a lot worse things to spend tax money that's already being taken from us anyway. Yeah. I think what they should do, though, is just, give them time served on their next prison sentence. So, if they get convicted for something else, you know what I mean? The time that they've already served goes towards that new one.
Right.
And then they can either get off entirely or just have a completely, shortened sentence.
Well, I don't think
I don't know if that's a good idea. Just something I thought of just popped in my head. It'd be kind of funny.
I don't think that's any of this is. It's not going to be geared towards a like a reparations program. It's not going to be that.
Right.
What I'm imagining the money is primarily going to be about is when you think about jails and prisons around the country that house these people, they have fiscal plans that are in place based off the number of inmates they have, the time they're going to be there, et cetera, et cetera. There's going to have to be, some debt is going to have to be accounted for, or this could financially hurt, institutions like this, especially knowing that, yes, a lot of funding is going to go away from an institution, when suddenly X amount of inmates are now released that were generating dollars for the prison in, whatever kind of subsidies they have going on from local or state municipalities, federal, et cetera. This is going to be a transition that's going to be very interesting to see.
Yeah.
But we've got to get through the last vote. Now, the reason why I'm most excited about this, John, is normally this kind of stuff can get backlogged, right? There's months in the process. But basically they've said they've already been having conversations as this was hitting the floor, before it hit the floor, with folks in the Senate, et cetera, to basically streamline this. Letting them know it was going to happen, letting them prepare any objections to it that would need to be tweaked or amended, et cetera, et cetera. But they've gotten no sense of outright rejection, and they are going to attempt to have it before a vote before the end of the current congressional session, which, as you know, should be ending in, I believe it's December. Because typically it's the end of the year, the first of the year, the congressional session ends, if I'm not mistaken.
It's Midget B. Bro, we're talking about legalizing it, man. Hell yeah.
So if they can get it before a vote before the end of this session,
yeah,
that is an awesome thing. So I'm pretty pumped up about this. From a financial standpoint, the economic impact that this will have across the country, understanding that certain states are still going to exhibit their, or not exhibit, but, put their own stamp on it and determine their own legalities. From a federal level, it is what it is. But the money that's going to be generated from this, not only agriculturally speaking, we're looking at, the different, legalization is going to open up so many avenues. And plus they've already said it's okay. They put in place that there was not an issue with banks handling cash money from legal marijuana dispensaries, whether it be, legal in the state to do so, or it's a medical dispensary legal in the state. They've now cleared it so banks can transact money for these places.
Which is badass.
Why would you think we were talking about ramming COPPA through? Where did you see something about that discussed? Other than, I think the article was posted in Discord.
Gotcha.
You know what? If you want to throw me the link, I'll pull that up. I did find that a little bit interesting to a certain extent. It was the funniest thing about it was the damn acronym for it.
Yeah. I saw that you mentioned that.
I couldn't help but comment on that because it's the first thing that hit my mind when I saw it. But anyway, so I don't know, John. I know that you're kind of a teetotaler that doesn't partake in the old herbalism type of thing.
Right. Certainly not. I'm a good Christian boy over here. What the fuck is that link?
It was in show suggestions.
I know, but you guys talk so much in there like you're not supposed to.
Yeah, well, there's nobody that comes in and keeps us straight, so, Yeah.
Well, Midget B is one of the mods. He should be the one doing that.
But he talks in there just as much as anybody else.
Same. That's what I'm saying, yeah. Motherfucker. Love you, Midget B.
Yeah, you love everybody, don't you, John?
No, there's a lot of people that don't.
I'm glad I've made that list. All right. Well, you keep looking for it and just get it in
Yeah.
the chat for me if you can. So that was the one. That's one thing. That's a positive note, right? This is a good thing for the country. Now, we also, let's see, we had some impeachment stuff going on. Of course, I think you knew that was happening. Am I correct? You heard about the impeachment that is still going on, right?
Yeah. Isn't it supposed to be ending soon? The inquiry, at least.
Yeah, it was. It should be wrapping up soon. It was funny, whenever Voldemort or whatever his name came out, the three amigos or whatever they want to call them, when they were all coming out to testify, they were like the big three, and then there was when Sondland came, it's like, oh, Sondland, he's the big, and now it's like, this week it's like, oh, well, we'll talk about this in a minute, but the whole program has changed. Before we talk about that, let's talk about some other dumb Democrats.
All right. I can't seem to find the link, and I'm not going to spend the whole time.
Midget, if you
even
could
Control F to try to find it, but yeah, if you could send it to me by DM there, Midget, I'll throw the link to Robert. That'll be cool if you could do that.
He's funny. The discussions are topical, and they should be used.
I mean, they are.
In everyone's show. See this. See, there it is, right there. See, and this is. We'll talk about this a little bit later on.
Sarcastic.
See, it's
and says especially about which I feel highly.
I saw that part. That one.
Okay.
That one I'll attribute to just being a silly midget. But the part where and they should be used in everyone's show. See, this is where this is someone trying to control our press, our freedom, our speech, by saying that we should be talking about this. This is what we should be talking about. Because you were talking about, you were saying you wanted to talk something about some lefty guy or some left. Who was it? Or what was it? The left and the how they want.
About language and controlling the definition of words.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely something I want to talk about. I don't know if we'll get to it tonight, but maybe we will.
I was trying to show example of how you can just take everything that people put literally. You need to use emojis. It's gotten to an emoji kind of world. You got to use emojis to really.
I like what Steven says. We need like a sarcasm font, which makes a lot of sense.
That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
I mean, you could kind of do that by doing the italicized or whatever.
No,
I'm not sure if you can do that on
I don't know if you can do it in the chat. So, while I know I'm going to out you right now. I mean, what what? I don't know. Should I out you or not? I'll let you just answer this question. Did you get a chance to watch the debate this week, John?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay.
I'm very busy with work. I have a thing. It's a job where I have to work crazy hours. It's really insane, this thing.
Heap it on, John. I
don't prefer it, to be fair. I mean, if I didn't have to do it, I wouldn't. But there you go.
I'm not gonna say. What did you listen to while you were at work?
I actually just started the Game of Thrones audiobook.
Oh, did you?
The first book. Yeah. It's all right. But there's a lot of underage groping. I don't know why. And that's just something I've noticed about fantasy authors. If I can kind of go on a tangent for a moment, I have noticed that about fantasy authors, because I read or listened to. When I say read, most of the time I listen to the Game of Thrones one, which everyone already knew about that because of the HBO series. There's a lot of, I don't know if they were underage in the show, but in the books they're all underage.
Well, they were technically, yeah. I mean, they were underage. The actors weren't, of course, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. And then I read a book, Agincourt. Can't remember the author's name. Here, I'll actually look it up while I'm talking. But yeah, there was all kinds of women being raped and stuff, and graphic detail. It's really strange. And then, I mean, that's not what the books are about, right?
Right. No.
But those were themes that were going on. It was Bernard Cornwell.
Yeah,
is his name. He's done a couple of historical fiction books, which I plan on reading or listening to. And then we have Shadiversity is another huge YouTuber. He's a big history YouTuber. And man, he wrote a book called Shadow the Conqueror. And goddamn, there's so much underage molestation and just rape in general. He even gets into some humiliation fetish and shit like that. Like if you watch his videos, you don't get that sense from him that he even has that sort of thing. Like that he would be capable of drumming that up in his mind. But when he was writing the book, like holy shit, it's all over the place. And he's like totally Mormon too. Like he's totally religious. But I mean, obviously he's writing in the context of a fantasy novel. But goddamn, it's actually pretty insane. I don't know what that is. Why that's like a trope
Uh,
in fantasy and historical fiction. But goddamn.
well, it's easy to explain, John. It's because it's a topical thing. You know, in present day culture, you know, this you you want to put things in writing that play to the outrage society. This you know, I
And yeah,
mean,
see, well, I mentioned that he's a Mormon, which is even weirder.
um, you know, these, you know, pedophilia, you know, racism, you know, rape, uh,
Yeah.
misogyny. All of these things are very highly controversial, very present in topical conversation. You play to that. You wouldn't see this, you know, 20, 30 years ago as prevalent in writing as you do now. I mean, you
Mm.
know, you go back to days of, you know, Melissa McCaffrey and, you know, Pierce Anthony and, you know, books like this back in the 80s, 70s and 80s when I was growing up. No, there wasn't a lot of that. There might have been
Mm.
insinuation, the thought, you know,
Yeah.
the thought was planted, but
Right.
it wasn't delved into. It wasn't as graphic and it wasn't as exposed as it is in the present day
Or
when
or detailed. That's the thing.
right.
It's like Jesus, man. I just want to like. I mean, talk to me about magic and stuff. Like, tell me what kind of sword the guy has. And I'm not talking about the one between his legs. Like, I want to know, that kind of thing.
Right.
Describe the duel for me. That's great. But like, yeah, I don't need to know all this other shit. I
It
don't know.
it
I mean, it
sells
definitely
books.
adds some. I don't know. I mean, it definitely adds something to the story. It adds like an actual like danger, especially if it's coming from like the perspective. Like in the Ashencore book, the one part, like the main character, his wife, gets like almost raped twice. First time he saves her. That's how they met, and now they got married after that and all that. Um, and then there was another time where like it was a priest like trying to fuck her, and she ended up like grabbing a crossbow that she had in her bag. She was able to grab it and put one in his chest. But it's like, goddamn, man. I don't know. It's just something that I noticed, and I don't know. I think it's
Well,
weird.
it's, you know, this, like I said, you're publishing books for an outrage culture, and the best way to sell books is to outrage somebody who's going to speak out about it, so that four others will hear it and
Yeah.
buy the book to find out why.
I mean, I'm not outraged or anything. It's just
No,
I
no,
don't know. It just sounded
but you're
strange.
you're a reader, right?
Yeah.
You're a reader. You're just a regular reader who's reading it. But there are people who will pick it up and read it and not realize that that's there. They'll be outraged. They'll, you know, it's a thing. It's topical. It's cult. You know, it's very prevalent in our culture. We have these
Yeah.
conversations all the time, about the legalities, about the rights and the wrongs, and the disparities of the whole all these different issues. And it's amazing to me how you can't have conversations about it in, in the public places so much, like work. You can't have conversations about this in work. That's not appropriate. But you can
Yeah.
sure as hell sit down on your lunch break and read all you want about it. And it's a strange dichotomy in our culture that I don't really hear. Well, I'm starting to hear a lot more of the book burning kind of mentality, but I mean,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. There has
if
been.
fuck your book burning, I mean, shit's mostly digital now anyway.
Right. It really doesn't matter.
But
But Midget Beast talking about Mustrunk woman down there. Thing is though, that character, Millistrand was her name. She was not a strong woman. She was a medieval woman, so she knew her place. She mostly did like cooking and washing of the heraldic surcoat, all that kind of stuff. Like she was doing womanly stuff. She knew her place. But I mean, yeah, she was practicing with the crossbow because there was a very good chance that she was going to get raped, and she almost did. So
And see, well, it makes the point. We are in an era that has had such sanitized content that gritty realism is what is desired as counterculture.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, like, maybe that's why it's thrown me off. Just because like I wasn't expecting to have that sort of, detail.
But it can also the argument can also be made that we are such a desensitized culture that
Yeah.
this is becoming the norm. This gritty realism is becoming the norm. I mean, when you look at what's played on primetime television these days, what's allowable, how graphic it can get, what they can say and do, whether from either a violent standpoint or a sexual standpoint, they've pushed all these envelopes so far to where it's you can't really tell that much difference between network television and cable television anymore,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So
Oh, that's true. See, well, 40K is becoming more popular because of how gritty it is. It's true.
yeah, it's so what it's surprising to me, especially knowing that we are also in a culture that your safeguards mean nothing anymore. Like your ratings mean very little, right? The best that those ratings do for you is let the movie ticket seller catch kids that are trying to get into a movie underage.
Right.
But they'll just go and watch it on the internet. Or they'll, worst case scenario, they'll wait 3 months and it'll be streaming on one of their parents' streaming networks.
Right.
It'll be
Yeah.
right there on their tablet, their phone, whatever the fuck they want. So the safeguards don't mean anything anymore. And kids are able to see all of this stuff. So, it is interesting to me that there isn't such a stronger call for censorship in that avenue in
Well,
entertainment
I mean,
these
who
days.
who hasn't like bought a ticket for one movie? Like as a kid, bought a ticket for one movie and then went into an R-rated movie that
Sure,
was playing around the same time.
sure,
Who hasn't gone to their friend's house whose parents allowed them to watch those kind of movies, like R-rated movies or whatever. I'm
right.
talking about when you're a kid, you know what I mean? And then
No, but
there and
but
so you get to watch it anyway. There's no stopping them, and I understand that it's more accessible
well,
now since it's like on their tablet or on their phone or whatever. But
well,
it's all the same shit.
no, it's not though. There's the thing that you're missing. Like okay, let's look at the difference between when you were a kid versus when I was a kid. When you were a kid, the desensitization was already happening, right? You were born into an era of desensitizing people through media, through entertainment, books, TV, radio. When I was a kid, an R-rated movie was a fuck ton different than an R-rated movie these days. I mean, an R-rated movie these days is kind of what we saw as softcore porn back in the day. That was the kind of stuff you were looking for on the cable channels through the pixelated screen as the snow, and you're hoping that maybe you'll see a boob and maybe a nipple as it comes through on the whacked out cable channel.
Yeah.
I mean, an R-rated movie back then, it was like, oh my God, we're going to hear some swearing, and there might be nipples like poking through an outfit. These kind of, so it's a little different whenever I look back at when I was a kid versus nowadays. It's different when a kid's going into an R-rated movie now. Whether it's from the violence, I mean, there wasn't as much gritty violence. Midget says, if you want my attention, something I haven't seen before, he's heard. Seawall says, food for thought. Humanity evolved is gritty reality called history. Modern day is scary stuff, or scarily safe. In a,
Learn how to read.
I wouldn't call modern day scarily safe. I guess
Compared to the rest of history, it's
Yeah.
very safe right now.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, when it's all said and done, there's still an underlying level of fear that a lot of people have, because there's so much random violence exacerbated in the media in the present day, right? So you're constantly seeing headlines about this violence, this violence, mass shooting, gun this or explosion or this, that, or the other. Or someone was just arrested by the, from Homeland Security for major terror. You can't exist in this society without having a certain level of fear and anticipation.
Well, yeah, but see, that's mostly due to the availability of information.
Sure, it does.
As opposed to before, you heard about maybe your neighbor dying or somebody on the farms out around the valley or something. Maybe one of them died, but you're not hearing about everything that's happening in the rest of the world all the time. That's the problem. Is we have an oversaturation of information and news,
right?
So that we see these horrible things happening over and over again, several times a day. When meanwhile, first of all, none of it really affects us personally, for the most part, unless it happens around you. And so, that feeling of fear is you reacting to the stimuli of seeing horrible things happening around the world, which have always happened. And a lot of the times at a much higher rate than they are now. And that's kind of the point of it's much safer now. We're just hearing about the horrible things a lot more often.
Midget makes a good point. He says violence is inherent human experience.
Yeah.
Kind of like, Seawall is saying that people seeking the stuff out, to watch it,
that's
fulfilling
true.
A primal urge. And yes, it does. But that doesn't mean it doesn't desensitize us. Seawall says, Rob, could this fear be natural if we evolved to have this fear? And I would say yes, if there's a case for evolution of that fear, because I do believe that we spent a lot of time as a species feeling very dominant in the food chain, where yes, there was a certain level of anticipation or expectation that any predator might have out in the wild, right? And I'm speaking very broadly and going far back, but even as we moved into civilization, that did probably start building the fear of man. If you don't have a healthy fear of your fellow man, you're a fool. Especially in our culture where you just never know, right? You don't know what's going to send somebody off and what's going to happen. And a lot of that is not just the mainstream media feeding it to us, but we also get entertainment showing us these things happening, whether it's a movie based on a true story or whether it's a series based off of a fantasy type movie like The Purge. Now there's a series about The Purge, where we're like, okay, let's glorify, we're glorifying the purging of part of humanity,
Speaking of stuff like that, I actually just recently got the Paranormal Activity series, all six movies. So that'll be cool. I can't wait to watch that. Which is something that I've always liked, ghosts and stuff. Those are fun. Sorry, that just reminded me when you were saying that. I got it.
Midget says, but there's far less of it now, not only in total, but per capita than even 100 years ago. And I'm assuming he's talking about violence out in the world.
Right.
Almost as if we're instinctively averse to experience violence.
Hey, you got Ed in the chat. What's up, man?
How's it going, Ed? I think what I would equate it to is, because I don't speak to just the political climate that we're in globally, but it feels a little like being in the Cold War era again. Being in that time where there's just always, what could happen, what's possible when I go out of the house. Now, maybe I have an increased level of anxiety already. So I know I speak, from a bias in that standpoint, but, I get a sense of it from other people and talking to other people. There's an unsurety that's in everybody these days, no matter what it's about, but it's an unsurety that, bespeaks a certain level of fear of the unknown, right? You don't know what the fuck is going to happen, whether it's going to be our government, civil war, who's going to be president, are we going to go to war with somebody, is the stock market going to crash, is my house value going to fall through the floor, it's just fucking whirlwind of crazy shit. That builds fear. Um,
Yeah, Ed makes a
Ed,
good point here
damn
too.
it.
It's been 33 minutes and no one's hit that like button yet. The fuck, guys? What the fuck? I thought we were friends, guys. What the hell? No, Ed. Robert has not gone on a pro pedo rant again. Not yet.
I've never
He
gone
will.
on a pro pedo rant.
Yeah,
But anyway, yeah, so good tangent to take us on. I think we went
that
for a
was
walk
fun.
in the park on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun subject, I
But
guess.
yeah, I mean, we thrive on that as adults. I mean, the gritty realism, like you're talking about in these books, that filters into all entertainment these days.
Hmm.
Anyway, we thrive on that as adults, but we have successfully created an environment in which our children are growing up to thrive on that, as opposed, I think the transition is complete. We are now generating a desensitized culture, and it's more of a reactionary outrage society than it is what it used to be. Uh,
Seawall says, hit dislike button. Don't tell me what to do. You aren't my dad. Well, you know what? We could be, Seawall, if you would just let us in. All right? That's all you got to do. Just stop, putting up walls all the time. Just let's have a talk,
now, see,
Seawall, all right?
now see there, midget makes another good point. There's another there's another angle to the fear that that level of fear that we're talking about. Does the sense of fear stem from a feeling of demoralization or isolation, and is it maybe propagated? Yes, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think the fear stems from over stimuli, like being overstimulated by the constant showing of negative news. I think
right.
is really doing it.
Well, social media has a lot to do with it as well. I mean,
Yeah,
that when you
well,
talk
that's
about
where.
demoralization and isolation, social media is a perfect thing, right?
Well, yeah, you're also sharing articles and things like that, and that's what I mean, like with
Well,
news.
right,
You know what I mean? This is
but
on
even
social media.
even the segment of society that is not following the news doesn't give a shit about the news, right? They're still
Hmm.
feeling the demoralization and isolation as they communicate primarily through social media with people that they've not seen in a long time or have never met, but they're friends, and those people give input and feedback on photos and things that they say, and yeah, it you know absolutely feeds into the level of fear that we have in this country, that nobody wants to admit to. That's the interesting thing.
Hmm.
Nobody wants to own that mindset because I don't know. Is it what would happen if you address your fear that yes, I'm scared of where we're at as a society. Um, uh, you know, how do you address that? What do you, I mean, there's a
Well,
lot to
so
unpack there, right?
I mean, with what you're saying is about you're scared about where we are. I mean, this is like oh, thank you, Siwa. I think I'm more like like when you were a kid and like your friend had like the loser older brother who still lived at the house who was like in his 20s and you were like maybe 12, right? And yeah, he smoked weed, but like anytime you had something to ask him, or any kind of question you didn't know, you go and ask him and he give you some long convoluted dumbass answer. That's more like me. Um, but anyway,
You
um,
forgot long convoluted answer that
that's also
usually
bullshit.
makes no sense.
Yeah, right. It's also probably bullshit. No, I mean I try. What was I saying though before? Yeah, see, this is where the whole weed smoking part of it comes in. Not that I have or do,
Oh no, not
allegedly.
you.
Allegedly. Um, yeah, shit. What was I saying about? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's with your fear of where society is and everything. Um, I think that is one has more to do with like the oversaturation of because you're constantly on your phone looking at articles, looking at headlines and stuff like that. Whereas if you do an experiment where you just don't look at news on your phone for maybe like 2 or 3 days. Now I know you can't do that because we have the show to do. We have to, but it's just a thought experiment that if you put the phone down, you don't look at any news for even a week. Let's say a week. Um, you're going to start noticing that you're not going to have that kind of anxiety and fear as much about, where society is and where we are, because you're just going to be seeing the things around you, and when you just look at the things around you, it's not that bad. You
It's
know what I mean? You don't look outside, you don't see rapists, raping people all the time. You don't see, people killing each other. You don't see, all this other nonsense that's going on. It doesn't affect your day to day life unless you allow it to, unless you're going to, saturate yourself with just horrible, depressing news.
right. Well, the only thing I have to
Oh, hey,
say,
Michael Vega's in the house. What's up, brah?
Michael Vega's in the house. Good to see you, sir. And John, the minor counterpoint to that, I've done that, like go a couple of days without looking at the news, even since we've been doing the show. But before that, I realize I have another level of anxiety that kicks in. Is I've been out of the loop for this long.
Hmm.
What do I not know?
Hmm.
Right? It's like, fuck, what do I not know? Somebody could be launching a fucking nuclear missile and I don't know it. I mean, I've actually had that thought because I wasn't tapped into the news for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
That is another example of some of the fear that
Gotcha.
I do believe that some people do, exhibit the same thing. That I'm not the only one out there that feels that way. So when you do
Sure.
unplug, it can be a very fearful thing.
Well, that's because of dependency, right? You're
There
used
is
to
the
seeing
dependency.
the headlines scrolling
Right.
through. That's why I'm saying give it like a week or so. Now, I don't think you can do that because we have the show to do, and we kind of have to, be aware of what's going on, at least, on a cursory basis. But, I mean, I think just trying that would help out a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I say I usually go like a day, maybe, day and a half without doing that kind of stuff. Like, I won't watch any YouTube videos about, politics or, philosophy or anything like that. I won't watch any of that. I'll either listen to an audiobook while I'm at work, because I usually listen to a lot of YouTube videos while I'm at work. But I'll listen to, Robert is stressed because he might get dabbed on in Discord. I don't know why that's funny, but it is. But yeah, so like, and then when I get home, I'll put something on about history. I'll watch like I mentioned earlier. I love watching Shadiversity's videos. He doesn't inject politics into the things. He just says, here's the facts. Here are the things that happened in history. Here's what a castle looks like. Here are all the parts of a castle. Here's what some of the biggest ones look like. Here's what a very very small one looks like, and all this kind of stuff. Which has nothing to do with politics. So it's just information going into my brain that isn't, toxic, I guess.
Yeah. So Seawall points out, he's like, and he does something very similar to me, myself. He says,
Escapism, yeah.
Why do you think I watch anime? Escapist media helps me cope and put the fucked up shit on the back burner to process, which is what
Yeah.
I use mobile games for. It's why I go
Right.
through hundreds of mobile games over in the course of a year, is just trying different ones out and everything. I just completely escape into those.
Yeah, and that's why we mentioned before that we play D&D on Saturdays. We'll be in the same room playing D&D. And that's why I've yelled at you before about not yelled at you, but about not bringing
Yeah,
up politics. Like, give me one fucking day of not talking about politics.
but see, that's just the thing. See, I will say this on a personal note. It's one of only 3 days that we normally talk.
Yeah.
Right. But because we are in the middle of an escapist situation, when I go like smoke a cigarette and you come down there with me, I can talk about the show because I've got a nice balance going, to
Right,
where.
yeah, we can talk about the show. It's just I don't
Right.
want to talk. Did you see what?
But
they
when we
did?
talk about politics, we are talking about the show. Come on, John. You
Yeah,
understand.
whatever.
Um,
Yeah. Anyway.
But midget says Robert is stressed because
Matriculations. I think you mean matriculations there, Seawall.
midget says
Matriculations. Anyway, sorry. Do I like machining? I do not. The only thing I do hands-on is HEMA, and that's about it. I don't have like a engineering kind of mind. I don't do wood cutting. I don't do machining. I don't do shit like that. It's hard to have things go from being an idea up here and making it a reality. That's not a that just somewhere it just gets fucked up on the way out. I don't know.
It's because too much of your inner energy goes to that fucking beard.
Yeah.
It's like a plant. You trim some of the limbs off, and it does better in the areas that you
Well,
want
it's
it to
actually
grow.
the beard is an external memory card.
Is that what you're calling it?
Yeah, it's an external hard drive. So the more knowledge I get, the longer it gets. Because I have to be able to, store everything somewhere, and my brain's not enough. I need more.
Yeah.
Need more.
Keep telling yourself that.
It's true. And it's usually useless knowledge. That's what's unfortunate. Usually not going to be something that's going to help humanity. It's just interesting Snapple facts.
Yeah, my escapist media has been a YouTube channel called what does that say? Patrick Adair Designs.
Adair, yeah.
Patrick Adair Designs, a machinist who makes rings. I do like
I
those.
Man at Arms. I like Man at Arms Reforged. He makes swords and stuff, and like other medieval weapons. Pretty sweet. Yeah.
So anyway, I think this all started because you went off on a tangent because you wanted to talk about books and sex.
Oh,
with kids.
Right. That's exactly what I wanted to talk about.
What was our favorite breakfast cereal? Oof.
I'm gonna have to go with Captain Crunch. The Oops All Berries though, that was my favorite.
I wasn't allowed to eat cereal. I didn't eat cereal as a kid.
Oh, God damn it. Oh, okay, what characters would we all be if we were Star Trek crewmen?
Crewman number 6.
You'd be Red Shirt?
I would love to be crewman number 6. I would break script and live.
Yeah.
I would dive whenever I was supposed to have rolled.
Oh, yeah, I remember that when there was one episode specifically of the original series where they were supposed to all react and go one direction, but George Takei, Sulu, went the other direction, so everyone else went one direction, he went the opposite, and they just kept it in. They were like, fuck it, you only had one chance.
That was
he totally fucked it up.
that was his first time coming out.
I think so.
He was letting people know, you guys go this way, I go this way.
Anyway, yeah.
Actual characters or rank and jobs?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I see Rob as the cranky doctor.
Yeah.
Nice.
I feel like, God damn it, you're sick again? Get in here, I got the suppository for you. And
I'm just a doctor, Jim.
John is the chill as fuck security officer. Yeah, I'll be like, hey man, if it's not too big of a bother, if you just go this way to the cell, I mean, that'd be cool, man. I mean, don't be a dick now. I mean, don't be a dick about it. Let's just go.
I see. I actually see you. I see you, Galaxy Quest, and you would be the monk. What is his? I forget. Tony Shalhoub, the character he played in there.
It's been so long.
He was the engineer, but he's like, "Hey guys, we're going a little too fast.
Okay,
the ship's breaking apart. Just FYI."
Yeah,
just wanted to let you know.
In case it's important to you, you might want to.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
That's who I see you as.
It's whatever. I'm good either way, but it's just saying it's out there.
This is like, John, has the transporter been fixed?
No.
What do you mean by fixed? I mean, if it
transports something, I don't know if it'll be where you want it to be, but it's gonna transport something.
Ed would probably definitely be. Well, I don't know. I think he'd be a Vulcan. He could be a Vulcan, but I think he would be a Romulan Vulcan blend hybrid. That's what I would see, like the unlikely hybrid of a Vulcan and a Romulan.
Oh, dude, tragic backstory.
Yeah,
where his Vulcan father raped his Vulcan, or his
Romulan father raped the Vulcan
father. Right, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, definitely the. Ooh, what would it? Maybe during Pomfar, maybe some weird thing happened where the Vulcan father raped the Romulan mother. So,
Then
Ed,
they shot Ed out of his
but
her Vulcan snatch. I suppose.
and Ed would have been brought up in a very fascist society, where but he broke away from that because he wanted to pursue his Vulcan heritage as tainted as it was, and so he seeks logic, you know. But
Wow,
it just,
Seawall actually watched Enterprise. I mean, holy fuck, man! I don't know how you got through that.
now see, Ed says they're the same species, and I'm like, okay, but
Aren't they slightly different?
I mean,
I'm pretty-
it's like saying that Indians and Chinese,
I like how this
because they're
episode became a
Asian,
shooting the shit.
right? But it's kind of like saying two Asian countries are the same species. I mean, we're all human, yeah, but subspecies,
Yeah.
that's better.
Round
T.
table
Paul from
discussion.
Enterprise, her father is Romulan. Really, T. Paul from Enterprise?
Fuck Enterprise.
They've
I got
already
about
done
10
it?
minutes. I got about 10 minutes into the first episode of Enterprise, and I couldn't stand it.
What's
No, fuck
what's
you, Ed. You are wrong. I'm sorry. This is not up for opinion. This is not up for debate. Okay, this is the one objective fact in the entire planet. Enterprise sucks.
I will tell you what the best current Star Trek
Wow,
series.
don't you fucking dare.
My bad. But the best current Star Trek, and I'm doing that in quotes, the Orville. That show fucking rocks.
Oh, yeah.
Seth
that is a good
MacFarlane
show.
plays a good role in that. I love
Yeah.
it. I expected him to be much more silly than he is, but he's got the
Yeah.
right amount of silly to play off of everything else. They've done, and I love what they're doing with the whole SJW thing. The whole culture wars thing. They've got the science officer that's got a husband, with some really screwed up things that they do with females in the species. It's funny how they've some of the different shenanigans that are going on that show. But see, Enterprise has best opening. Changed my mind. The only time the Enterprise opening would be good is if it was followed by the end credits.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it's followed by a decent show, they might be all right, but no. No, the opening does not for a good show make. Sorry.
Ed is pointing out that the Vulcans and Romulans do have different cultures, no matter about their genetics. It was semi-canon from books, never mentioned in the show. He's referring to subspecies, blah blah blah, about the Romulans and stuff. They're still on that. Gosh, they need to just keep current.
All
with
right,
the
so let's do this then. Well, no, there's almost like there's a 20-second delay or so. Let's do this then.
No, they don't. They don't have a delay in what we're
Yes,
saying,
they do.
John. They're watching the show in real time in their head.
No, they're not.
They're not experiencing a delay between what we're saying right now. They're hearing
That's
right
true,
now.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
we're there.
Anyway,
You don't know how time travel works, do you?
Anyway, so chat. For those of you who've seen it, what do you guys think of The Mandalorian? Because I have not seen it yet. I need to know if I should suck the Disney teat and get the Disney Plus. Don't you stop, Robert.
I just want you to remember you're basing this off of one episode.
Wait, no, there's 3 episodes of Mandalorian.
Were there? I have 2
Yeah.
more because whenever I first pulled it up, I was on Disney Plus right away. There was 1 episode, so if there's a couple more I haven't watched them yet, I'll give my opinion on from a 1 episode perspective after chat.
Yeah, so let's let them. Or you can start because it's gonna take them a minute to
Oh
hear it,
well,
type,
from my perspective, it's worth watching. I was going to give it. I'm willing to give it 3 episodes to see. It looks pretty good to me. It's, but I don't know. They haven't had a chance to destroy it yet.
What Sewell is saying is what I didn't want. I haven't seen it, but I heard it's good. I want to know if it's actually good.
It was.
I don't care.
Let's
what
put
the
it this way:
internet
it was better than any new Star Wars I've seen outside
that's the
of the
thing,
original 6. Outside of
that's
the
the
original
thing,
6.
It's a very low bar.
Let's see. What would you say has been the best new Star Wars movie? And I ignore anything that dealt with the first 6. The first 2 trilogies.
Rogue One. I enjoyed that one thoroughly.
Okay. Good.
Really
I did not enjoy Rogue One thoroughly.
oh
I
my
enjoyed
God, it's fucking
Mandalorian more
piece of
than
shit.
any of the recent Star Wars stuff that's been out, in my opinion. But that's me. Um, I keep going into them jaded ever since Lucas gave it
Yeah,
up. I have to admit that, and I went into the Mandalorian jaded and came out unjaded
yeah. See,
with a
Seawall's on my
question mark.
side, dude. Rogue One was awesome.
Hey, and
My
that's
favorite part is that all the characters die at the end. Fucking amazing. I love it. That was
spoiler.
so good. Well, too bad. It's
No,
been out long enough.
no, I'm kidding. But
It's so good. Like you never
but,
see movies like that where just the main characters, all the characters that you spend an hour and a half getting to know, and they're fleshing their characters out, and then just boom, they're all dead.
oh, you haven't been
Fucking awesome.
you haven't heard enough Game of Thrones yet.
No.
yeah, yeah. That I got top. It's tip of the hat to George. What was
George R. R. Martin.
George
R.
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 R. Martin.
Martin.
Or
George
R.
R.
Martin.
Yeah. Um, yeah, no, I agree with you. Well, ban,
Hey,
hashtag ban Robert.
listen.
Robert.
I don't
Hashtag-
care. I don't give a rat's fat ass what anybody says about my opinion of Star Wars. If it makes me a boomer, I don't give a flat fiddler's fuck. Because when it's all said and done, it's not the same. It's not. It's not the original. It's not Lucas. It's not Star Wars. And
See, I liked the prequels. Like so many people shit on the prequels. I liked them, and I will defend that opinion to the death. I will die on that hill.
I mean,
Prequels are good.
I remember the first time I saw Star Wars, and it was sad that I wasn't able to see it in a movie theater, but I watched it on a laser disc at home, and I remember that first thing, watching it and being enthralled, and
Yeah.
like even the little whitish, off-color boxes around the ships didn't even phase me. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then the story, and yeah, they fucked around with the story a few times. When with Ewoks and everything, I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the Ewoks were
These guys wouldn't be worth using to clean up the wet spot. But when it's all said and done, the new stuff is just, it's not Lucas. It's not right. To me it was kind of what was it? Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. Or
Oh
whatever.
my God, poor
It was
Indiana Jones.
right. Well,
They
that's what
raped him
that's what I said
hard.
about the Star Wars universe. Whenever it all changed, I was like, no, I'm fighting back. I'm
Oh
fighting.
yeah, I
back.
was going to mention about the Game of Thrones. I actually felt feelings when they killed one of the dire wolves. I was so distraught for it. It was so unfair because it wasn't even the wolf that did anything wrong. It was just like one of the other ones.
Right.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. Seawall says
I like dogs more than humans. So
Seawall says the
I
original
actually cared.
the original.
Sorry,
He says the original series is good, maybe a little overrated. And I'm going to say this about it being overrated. I can understand your point there. However, I will say that it was groundbreaking. It was earth-shattering when this movie came out. The things that they did, what they created with that movie was just, it went far and above anything else that people were seeing, especially when you're a kid. So when you have people like me who've spent all our lives applauding and and people take it much further, of course, right? You got the cons, you've got how long people will stand in line for this, that, or the other Star Wars from all the. There's a reason for that, because it was a moment in time. It was a moment that you remember. That's like a bucket list thing that you never would have put on your bucket list, but it's like, I'm glad I was there for that. I was glad I was a part of that experience.
it's Seawall's right there. The Clone Wars cartoon was awesome. I didn't like the droids. It was obviously that they were there for comedic, comic relief, and they were there to appeal to kids because they were all like, silly, and they had personalities, and they were just idiots and incompetent. It's like, that's not how a droid army would react whatsoever. It was really not well done with the droids, in my opinion. But like the lightsaber fights and stuff were really cool. The story was really good.
Wyatt in the house. He says Star Wars was saved in the editing room. Aren't all
The new
movies?
movie,
Isn't
well,
that?
no, the new one they actually
Oh,
changed a lot of it. The one that's about to come out on December 20th, I think. I think it's the 20th.
oh.
Yeah, they made a lot of edits. Like, they pretty much changed the movie around.
Um,
Because there was a rumor going around that like people were walking out of the screenings because it was so terrible.
Seawall says he agrees with me. He says he's talking about the worship claims that Star Wars was the best series ever made and nothing can beat it. Um, no,
I don't think nothing can beat it. I just think nothing has yet.
it's well, I have to say that it's tough to beat, except has anyone taken it? Okay, well, look at the Matrix. Look at the where the Matrix is at in that same kind of cult classic, that fame category, because the Matrix took things to another level. Like, it was groundbreaking in how it approached cinematography. The camera work was amazing. These kind of things. They breached a new envelope. They did things with a CG that really stretched the envelope. So that's it's. But the story too, to actually see the story. But I will say that Lord of the Rings, to me,
Yeah.
man, that one was fucking amazing. From reading those books as a kid as well.
No, that's a classic hero's journey. I mean, so was Star Wars. Don't get me wrong. Star Wars is the original. The original three were the hero's journey, which is one of the best stories ever told, and it gets told over and over and over and over again. Different characters, different environments, but that's the same story every time. Some person who's never some completely like non-consequential person. You know what I mean? Has some kind of call to adventure, hooks up with a mentor. Mentor teaches them stuff, and the mentor dies, and then the main character rises to the occasion, defeats the big bad.
right.
Like, that's the hero's journey. So yeah, you've seen that story a billion times, but you watch it because it's always a good story, or not always, but it's hard to mess that story up. It follows a formula. You just plug in names and places, and that's about it.
Well, when it's all said and done, I mean, it's not like that angle isn't played out all the time anyway. But they, it's hard for a present day young generation to go back and watch those first three films without going into it with a kind of a jaded, rose-colored glasses, as it were, or the jaded colored glasses, because it's old cinematography, it's old standards of movie. It's like a classic movie. It's like the black and whites were back in my day. It's like, oh, the old black and white movies. So it diminishes the story. It diminishes the impact. So yeah, we're running out of generations that find Star Wars as amazing as ever, and I don't.
Well, that's because it sucks now.
Well, right, and that's what I was going to say is
Yeah.
the present day stuff does not generate the same culture, the same cult
Right.
that the older one does. I mean, it speaks more to the American girl mindset than anything else, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad. Which
Oh, nice. Sewell says, "No, it all turns out these three movies with Thrawn torturing someone with a mind probe. That would be awesome." Thrawn was such a great character, and of course they've done nothing with him so far as I know. Disney hasn't, but he's such an amazing character that would be like, it would be perfect because he's the one who's running the Empire basically, or at least running the military side of the Empire after the Emperor dies. I mean, what an amazing character! What an amazing big bad to have. In fact, in the books, they didn't even the rebellion didn't even kill him. It was his own bodyguard, that killed him. So I mean, It was like he wasn't able to be defeated in battle. It had to be done sneakily. Because he was just that good of a tactician and strategist. It was fucking... Yeah, he's awesome. I recommend those books. The Thrawn trilogy is awesome.
Yeah, who reads anymore, John? Come on.
I know.
You don't even read anymore. You listen to your books.
I do. I have all three of the Thrawn books, and I've read them all in physical form.
Sure.
Hardback, even.
Sure, John. Sure.
I have. Fuck you.
Sure.
Those books are old, man. I've read them back before audiobooks were super accessible.
Wow. Yeah, it's you know, it's funny you say that because I remember looking for, as audiobooks started coming around, I remember looking for books that I liked, especially the Robert Jordan books, and it was back when audiobooks were starting to be made on cassettes.
Yeah.
But like to get one of Robert Jordan's books, one of his books, it was like this huge big binder type thing with all these cassettes for the book, and it was like, I don't know, $100 and something, and it's like, Jesus Christ, for one book on audio. And I'm like, wow, I can't wait to get the paperback. I'm just like, let me go to the paperback section, fuck the audiobook section. But it was interesting now because it's just now all digital. So, but the cost, I'm still surprised that the cost of a book for a digital version still weighs in about the same as a printed version. It's like you don't know, you can't hit me with that price point. You can't hit me with these exaggerated price points for a mainstream book. I mean, come on, it's a digital copy. No work has to go into this other than what already was by the writer and the editor and the publisher putting it out on whatever in whatever format. There's no printed material. There's no this, that, and the other. It's it's insane to me. It's like, damn it, I don't want to pay $30 for an audiobook.
Yeah. Well, that's why I like. We're not sponsored by them. I hope it could be in the future. That would be awesome. But no, that's why I like Audible. Because like it's a monthly subscription.
Right.
But every month you get a free book. And then you get, of course, access to all their originals, but I haven't gotten any of those, but because they all kind of suck. But there's tons and tons and tons of them, and just every month you can get a new one for free, or you can buy like their little, 3 credit packs and stuff, so you can get like 3 books for a cheaper price than you would if you just bought them outright. So that's pretty nice. It's pretty affordable. And also, Anna Voltis is over here in the chat being wrong, so I want to address that for a moment. It says LOTGH, which I'm not familiar with, is greater than Star Trek, which is greater than Star Wars. Well, no, the answer obviously is Star Wars is greater than Star Trek, which is greater than whatever the hell other thing he's mentioning there. So, and then also, the Halo series is fucking awesome. Halo series of books is amazing. Until, of course, they got Stronk Whammons in there. They got taken over by SJWs, and it was very unfortunate.
LOTGH. God, why does that...
It's close to Lord of the Rings, but it's not. That might be why.
No.
Legend of the something?
Legend of the Ghost Hunter?
I don't know. Legends of the Gay Ho? I don't know.
Really, John?
I don't know. That's what it sounds
Why
like.
do you... Jane's not even here.
Okay. Jane's not gay.
I don't know why you want to bring her into this.
Jane's not gay.
Jane forces the question, are traps gay?
No, you are gay for liking the trap. Jane
forces you to ask that. I can co-host without liking somebody. I've been doing it with you for how long? Anyway, so as I was saying, oh god damn it.
Yeah, Anna Voltis, you have to specify.
You're on, yeah. Or we turn off chat and we sit here and rack our brains and try and think of it.
I mean, we have gone over an hour on this small tangent. that we were
Yeah,
supposed to
I'm going to have to
take.
change the title because I'd hate for
Yeah,
somebody to
because
come
we're
in.
not going to talk about anything else, are we?
Well, you know what? We could. The only thing I wanted to, I was going to talk about the debates a little bit. Basically, I was going to show a couple of clips from the debate because I have to say, Cory Booker got a laugh out of me, which is usually only he does that when he just like really bugs his eyes. I get a giggle. But he did say something in the debates that I thought was just really funny when he was talking to Joe Biden. He said something to Joe Biden that was funny. And since you missed it, I was going to show it to you because I'm nice that way. But we don't have to go over the debates. I mean, ultimately, the Democrats lost in the debates.
Yes.
The other side won.
Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Never heard of it.
Why does that?
So it can't be that good.
Yeah.
Can't be good if I haven't heard of it.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Is that what you say? Is that
Yes.
how it is?
That's the standard.
You are the standard by which we.
I am the arbiter of what is good and what is not good. Yes.
All right. So, John, then let's find out. And now this is a very serious question. No room for trolling.
Okay. Serious face.
Wyatt, I might have to agree with you on that. Pete did show himself a little bit strongly in the debate. All right, John. Serious question. You're 37 years old now, right?
29.
Or 29, whichever.
Yeah,
rounding. I was rounding.
Yeah.
So 29 years old. Fucking kids. Get off my lawn. The most influential book you've ever read, the book that influenced your life the most, that stands out as this would have to make it qualify as your favorite book because of the impact it had on you as a person. That's what I think qualifies as a great book.
Oh, it has an impact on me as a person.
Right.
Like in what way? Like,
well, I'll give you
character or like
sure.
what?
I'll give you an example. My favorite book of all time is The Hobbit, and simply put, and it for like my brother, it's something nonfiction. This kind of we've had this discussion, but The Hobbit was the quintessential hero, underdog story. It was the guy that just felt so put upon. He just thrust into this position. And did his best and managed to bungle his fucking way through it. But it was it was one of those things. It changed me in how I looked at things. It made me a little more carefree amidst all the fucking psycho that was going on in my life. It allowed me to be a little more daring, I guess, more of a risk taker. I'm like, so this little guy could go and fucking just swipe something out from under a fucking dragon, that kind of thing. So sorry, a little bit of a tangent there, but that's why that book is so impactful to me and why it's my favorite book. So, do you have anything anything you've read in your life? This lets me know just where you're at.
Yeah. Actually, I did think of one. Aragon. The whole Aragon series, I'm not just gonna pick one book out of it because it's one huge story over 4 books, and the 4 huge books, like they're not they're not small in any way, but basically so there's a certain battlefield tactic that they used because it was a very high magic. I guess not very high. I guess I would say like medium magic, and the main character, the titular Aragon. He's like the first dragon rider to come out since all the dragon riders were killed. It's basically Star Wars. The story follows basically the same thing with Jedi Order gets killed, and then Luke becomes the first one to come back.
Right.
Same thing with Aragon. The dragon riders are an order of people who ride dragons.
The Shannara series, yes, I guess.
Yeah. So it's basically the same story, right? But it's set in a fantasy setting.
Right.
But so like they can do the Dragon Riders can do magic like crazy, and I like the magic system a lot in that series, because it has to do like the amount of magic you can do and what you can do is restricted by 2 things. One, your knowledge of the ancient language, which is the language of magic. So like the more vocabulary you have, the better that you're able to speak it. The better you can word your spells, because it's just you just speak the language, and it makes that whatever you said into reality. Um, but it's also restricted by your own strength, your own like physical strength. So if you tried to like move something, it takes exactly the same amount of energy as it would to do it like in a mundane way. So if you want to lift a box and put it over there, it would take the same amount of energy, except for it happens instantly with magic. So if you try to move something that's too large for you to move with your physical strength, it'll kill you, because it'll keep trying to do it until it's either done or you die.
Right.
But of course, later on, when you learn more about the ancient language, like you can say, instead of break the restrictions that are binding me, you can say like soften the restrictions. That way, you can end the spell at any time. That's not yeah.
Yeah, you're going geek now.
I know.
You're getting way nerd on it. You're getting
Okay,
way.
but Alex, it's important to what I'm about to say, because
Okay.
it showed me like the fragility of human life, because like I was mentioning, they had this one battlefield tactic where like a spellcaster will be in charge of like an entire squadron of troops, like just a large amount of people, and he would be protecting them from just being killed instantly. But so what you would do is like the magic users would fight each other like mentally, basically, while on the battlefield. While the soldiers are fighting each other, the magic users are fighting each other mentally. And once one gains dominance over another's brain, they can just kill them. And then once that guy's dead, all the troops that were under his command are now able to just be killed instantly. And so the point of me bringing that up was about the fragility of life, and like how little meaning you have as just a random person standing in that line like that. You know what I mean? You're just like, first of all, your life is in the hands of some other guy,
Right.
and his mental state is,
Well,
that's what your
sure.
life is in their hands. And just like a whole knot of troops will just fall dead as soon as that guy dies. And so I mean, you're not really doing much. You're not really contributing all that much. The main fight is between the magic users.
Right.
And, so yeah, I mean, fragility of life, almost like nihilism. Even just saying, what's the point of it if your life can just be ended like that? And obviously, that's not a real life comparison, but real life things like that happen all the time.
Right.
Where you'll just be walking down the street one day and your life will be ended. You know what I mean? One way or another.
Okay, so that's you've talked about Aragon to me before,
Yeah.
And I can definitely see that. One
Yeah,
thing
I agree with Dana Voltis. The film was fucking garbage. It was the worst film I've ever seen in my entire life. It was just shit. They just shit all over the pages of that book. They shit all over. What was his name? Nicholas Paolini, I think was his name. I think it was Nick. I'm not sure. Christopher. It was Christopher Paolini was his name. The author. They just took his IP and just shit all over it. Poor fucking Christopher Paolini. I mean, he let it happen. He was 18, 19 when they got the rights to it, and yeah, he made that mistake of thinking they were going to be, nice to him in Hollywood.
So I sit there and listen to you talking about Aragon, and it's interesting the similarities. Like you talk about these tropes that go on through these stories, and being that I do editing and proofing and beta reading for a publisher. I have to ask you something, because I've been in internet content for a long time, writing articles, rewriting articles, spinning articles, say the same thing, this, that, and the other. Just worked for a variety of different avenues to create more and more content. And the same thing I'm watching happen in the digital book world, right? 30,000 word books are just flying off the shelf, flying out of publishers now and hitting Amazon, etc. So I have to ask you this, John. What do you say to the idea that there's nothing original anymore?
I mean, I definitely think that's the case. Not just with books, but with movies and television as well.
Right.
there's an old
Music.
there's an old joke. Yeah, with music there can be sometimes there'll be someone new who comes up with something different.
Someone new, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, usually it's just corporate trash put out
Right.
to
Right.
Anyway,
But anyway.
but yeah, no, there's an old joke that there's like 12 scripts in Hollywood, like that's it. You just plug your
Right.
names and locations in and fill out the
Right.
formula.
Right.
Which I mean, that's been the case for centuries, though. Like I mentioned, the hero's journey. That's one of the oldest stories ever told. I mean, the Epic of Gilgamesh was a good example of that, and that's one of the oldest stories in existence, at least that we know of.
Right.
And so that was like one of the first instances of it. And so I mean, there's not much you can do. I guess it's hard to come up with a new story that will also, get people's attention and keep their attention. Most importantly, throughout it, because if you try something completely off the wall, people aren't going to follow. I guess people are expecting certain. What's the word I'm looking for? Like they expect certain patterns, and if those patterns aren't there, it throws them off, and they can't enjoy it as well. At least that's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I think that a lot of stuff they're trying to flip the script in a certain sense in the wrong way, and I speak to a lot of the pandering, the virtue signaling that goes on in entertainment, whether it be through books or whether it be through movies or television.
Yeah, that's
Like
true. Why it's
round
doing
table, yeah.
remakes.
But see, they're
It's not just Disney either.
but
It's
Disney's got a hook with theirs. At least theirs has a hook. It's taking their animated stuff and making them live action, so they have a hook to their
that
remakes.
is different, but it's still the same kind of concept.
But I mean, who hasn't wanted to see these things? I will say this. I just watched the live action Lion King with my granddaughter, and I was bothered by the fact that they should have kept the original script. They could have just dubbed over with the original voices and everything from the original, and it would have been perfect. But they changed dialogue in certain places. I mean, the gist of it was still there, but they changed wording and structure, this little that and this and here and there, and I was like, no.
No,
I mean, I got to give them credit for not having anything but everything was CG. They did a fucking amazing job with it visually. I was like, damn.
I'm sure they did. They had the money to do that, but visuals aren't the most important thing, and same with video games. You know what I mean? Like, we'll have new video games come out that look amazing, but the story is shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't just make up for a shitty story with great graphics.
Right.
Great graphics are just one small aspect. I think they're the least important aspect of a good game.
Right. Well, now I will say this. Wyatt points out that yes, it's Disney's way out, but it's still a remake. I would agree with that. However, I think a worse than that is the reboot. Marvel has been real bad about. Marvel properties. So whether I guess mostly I would have to lean on Sony for having done this, and Sony and Universal both have done their share of reboots, bringing out iconic characters and then rebooting them and restarting the storyline all over again. And it's like how many Hulks were there? How many Spider-Man have there been?
Done that. Like the first two new Star Wars movies, Force Awakens and Last Jedi, were just remakes or reboots of the original two. I mean, they really are. I mean, first of all, you start off in Tatooine, or not Tatooine, right?
Right.
And then in the second one, you end up in not Hoth, like totally not Hoth, not the same thing at all. While they're in a base being assaulted by the Empire, or the not Empire, I should say.
But see, that is... but even that in and of itself, now I have to point out from a fantasy setting, so from a trope setting, for instance. So if I point out my favorite series of books, which is Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series, it is at a point in time of this ongoing cycle that this battle that's constantly waged between good and evil, and it comes to a head every, on a regular cycle as the Wheel of Time spins. And this is, you see this in other things. How many times did Voldemort rise? And, almost every Harry Potter movie we're after Voldemort again, and we're almost going to catch him and not. Old detective books used to do that. That was always a big one with G.I. Joe. I'm like, man, are you ever going to catch Cobra and just lock him up, right? So so that's episodic rebooting in a sense to me, right?
Well, I mean, I don't think that's the same thing, because I mean, there's different stories. Development develops as they go on, as they
Right. I'm sorry.
Go after the big bad. You know what I mean?
I guess I should say the argument can be made that it's episodic rebooting, but the point is it's a cyclical thing. Good versus evil. The Empire's going to rise and fall, rise and fall, rise and fall. This is what the Star Wars storyline tells us, is that empires rise and fall constantly, but are thwarted by good over and over. That's why, what made Robert Jordan's series of books so good to me is that, was this the time where good would not rise above? He did such an excellent job of giving you the sense that evil could prevail, that the dark side could win in this standard trope of cyclical rise of the dark. Every Fable, remember Fable, the video game was the darkness is rising again. How many video games have you played where the darkness is rising again after centuries or a millennia of being right? So this is Star Wars is just another example of it if you want to look at it that way. Now, I get what you're saying.
Fable is you could be the evil, which was kind of cool.
No, Wyatt, I have not.
I have, yes. I have seen the new Joker movie.
I have to wait for it to come on. I watch movies on the ghetto.
Right.
If it's not streaming, I'm just dreaming.
Yeah.
It's all it is.
But I mean, there's another example I can give of the cyclical, or episodic, I guess, reboot that you're talking about. But again, it's just kind of, I think it's episodic is the right word. But a lot of TV shows do the same thing, especially kid shows.
Sure.
But no, the Master and Commander series of books is 24 books, and I've read the first 4. But it's funny because at the beginning of the book, Jack Aubrey, the main character, is always broke at the very all the books. He's broke at the beginning of it, and then he goes out and he has his sea adventures. Fighting for the British Royal Navy. And then towards the end of the book, he's got a bunch of prizes that he's captured, and he's got a ton of money coming his way. Then the book ends, and you go to the next book, and he's broke for some reason.
Right. Well,
there's one of them where he gets thrown in debtor's prison.
Jack Sparrow much?
Well, no, he's much better than Jack Sparrow.
But I'm just saying, Jack Sparrow is pretty much that. Yeah. He ends on a high tide and starts on a low tide. I mean, that's every new movie is him down on his luck again, and having to come out smelling like a salty sea dog.
Yep.
But yeah,
so, I mean, that's a pretty popular trope, but I wouldn't count that as rebooting or remaking. I think that's just episodic, and especially if things around him change, other than that one trope. You know what I mean? Like, because he ends up getting married and having a house and all that.
Sure, that's definitely episodic. But I think you could see how Star Wars could be that metaphor for the rising and falling of empires, albeit most empires that rise and fall look very similar to another empire that's risen or fallen, right, in the real world.
Well, a lot of them take a lot of lessons from the previous empire.
Sure. Yeah. Which I didn't. That is why I didn't. I took with a grain of salt that there was a Death Star in the newer Star Wars
Oh my
movies.
god, that was so terrible.
I took it with a grain of
It's
salt
like,
because building, I mean, you got to think about technology being built upon old technology
well, I'm
from one
sure.
one to the other. I mean, it's
Hang on, because here's my problem with it. Right?
okay.
Maybe it's explained in some book somewhere that I haven't read about, like the newer Star Wars books and stuff. I haven't read those. So maybe it's explained there. But how the fuck does the First Order like have so many resources, so much manpower, like out of nowhere, just suddenly, poof, they're in existence for no reason, right? And they've got, like I said, they've got shitloads of manpower. They've got the ability, the technology, and the money, and
Allies.
the research
Who were
to
they
be able
at?
to turn an entire planet into a weapon.
Who Who were they allied with?
We don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm sure there's some book somewhere that explains it,
Well,
but
I mean, they had to. Did they have planets under their control, or were they allied
we
with
don't
planets?
know.
I mean,
We don't know. We
I
don't
mean,
know any of that.
they existed in a
They
bubble.
just poof. Yeah, they just poof. There they are. Now they're the big threat that everyone knows about. But so they somehow secretly built this massive super weapon that took out like all of the New Republic's planets. Because fucking why not? I mean, it was like 5 or 6. I don't know how many they have, but it took out like whatever 5 or 6 planets all at the same time.
No, this took place before.
Way after 6.
Right, way after
Way
those.
after Return of the Jedi.
Right. So,
Like,
yeah, I mean, so they built on old technology, right? They
I mean,
they
sure,
improved
but you
old
would think that
technology.
they would improve the actual Death Star and not be like, well, here's a planet that we're just going to use. I mean, yeah, they're
Dude.
using geothermal energy or whatever to power it. That's fine. That's that works within the sci-fi.
You don't understand.
World, but,
you obviously don't understand what actually happened, do you?
well, that's what I'm saying. It's not explained in the movies. Obviously, like I said,
Well,
there's probably a book somewhere that explains
if
it,
you
but-
watch the movies now, what you have to do is you have to watch the movies in reverse order from how they came out. So watch of the original 6, you watch them in reverse order. But if you watch closely, you'll see the indications, and you'll note, you'll come to the conclusion that the rebels. They faked the explosion of the Death Star, John. They drove it off, but they didn't actually destroy it. But for propaganda's sake, they
Right.
they faked it. So they faked the
Death Star
so
was an
so there was
inside
actually it was out there, but it ran
I
off.
remember
It
that
warped out. So if
No. What I'm saying is that there was a conspiracy theory that Darth Vader, was the one who destroyed the first Death Star. Because why was he out in his personal TIE fighter at the time? Just so happens that he gets away, but no one else does. There's this whole, convoluted thing about how
there's
he was the one who did it.
there's every good reason why he was out of the Death Star.
I mean, I guess I'm not saying obviously there is, but obviously there is. I'm just saying
Because of the Force user. He sensed the
Yes, he was
Force
going
in
after
someone.
Luke. I know why. I'm just saying that there was this whole conspiracy. I'm not saying I believe it. I'm saying there was this whole conspiracy theory.
Ed, this is exactly like the moon landing, except real.
This is more like 9/11 being an inside job. The Death Star's explosion was an inside job. I think that's a better comparison.
Actually, no. They faked the Death Star explosion. That's why it was later found and able to be used in a later movie.
No.
Dude,
hang
you
on,
don't blow up a prop like
No,
that. You
hang
don't
on.
blow it up.
Hang on, because no. The second Death Star was much larger than the first one.
Yes, they built
So,
upon,
no.
but the core, at its core, was
No,
the
the
original.
Death Star was
It's kind. Think about a golf ball. It's got layers to
I-
it, right? It's got the core, and then there's some
Like
rubber
it's like an
bandy
ogre.
stuff, and then there's a shell around it. That blows up planets. It's a golf ball that blows up planets, but at its core, its nucleus is the original Death Star that
No, it's not.
that you believed the fake media was telling you blew up.
I've seen those movies 1,000 times.
Yes,
There is not. There is
but
not.
bear in mind, John,
the first Death
sometimes
Star in the superstructure of the second one. No. You're incorrect, sir.
No. I'm not telling you that it is that there's any indication in it's in the first 6 that you see the buildup, that you see the foreshadowing, that you see the deception build. Look at the explosion. Look at the explosion very closely. Not one fucking stormtrooper flying out of that thing. Nothing. There's nothing. There's no. Look at the color of the explosion, John. It wasn't hot enough to incinerate. It should have been blowing parts out.
Yeah.
You don't understand, John.
Yeah.
I didn't see the trash monster flying.
You don't think photon torpedoes can melt steel beams?
If the Death Star had truly exploded and they were that close, somebody's windshield would have had that tentacled eye from the fucking trash heap slap on the front of their vehicle.
That would have been cool.
That would have happened, and it did not. It was
You
faked.
think so?
It was faked. Ask the fish eye guy,
The
Admiral
fish eye guy.
Akbar.
Oh yeah. Well, no, he said it's a trap, not a fake.
It's a trap, which means it's fake, John.
No.
We've already, John. Traps are fake.
Ah,
Are traps gay? Traps are fake.
traps are obviously gay, but they're not fake. They're not fake and gay.
fake.
They're just gay.
What's on the outside? It's not what's underneath. They're fake.
The traps are very real.
I'm
They
just
are
saying.
real things.
As
They happen.
General Akbar said, it's a trap.
He's an
You can't
admiral.
believe what you're seeing. It's a trap.
He's an admiral, you pleb.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's what I
Christ.
said. What did I say?
You said general.
General. Oh, yeah.
Fucking
There we go.
asshole.
Sorry.
God damn.
You know what?
Completely different military branch, Robert.
You know, sorry, my bad. I was thinking of somebody saying something about somebody else too, but anyway. Anyway, that's the truth. He called
it's
it.
not.
That was the final piece that lets you know that it was they were going to fake the whole explosion.
What? That didn't happen until Return of the Jedi. The first Death Star was destroyed in A New Hope. God damn it!
I'm
Get your
just saying.
timeline correct if you're gonna.
No,
make
I'm
shit
just
up.
saying that's when you
Jesus.
knew that this wasn't. They weren't going to win. That the Death Star, when that came into play, no, none of that was going to be real. You knew you had to watch for it. I remember it when I first watched it. I'm like, this is not going. They're not going to be able to destroy this thing. They're going to get away.
They did though. Luke used the Force.
They didn't. The Death Star got away. How do
No,
you
it
think?
didn't.
How do you think Darth Vader survived out in the middle of empty space?
'Cause he's
Just
off-
goes careening off into space.
Yeah, there's
in
other
a-
ships
in-
around. God damn it.
Yes, you know what one of them was? The Death
Is?
Star.
No, other ships. That's not even a ship. It's a battle station. It's a fucking space station.
Is it propelled through space?
Yes.
All right, so
It's not a
it's
ship,
close
though.
enough to be considered a ship. It
Not a
moves
ship.
through space. It houses people.
It's
It
a
does
weapons
all the things.
platform, if anything.
Sure, whatever. Tell yourself that it was a big round ship. Just because it
It's
doesn't
a
have,
field artillery piece. You
just because
fuck.
it doesn't have a field artillery piece, please.
It is just on a massive scale.
In a sense, I guess you could possibly say that. I think I would consider it more of it is the battlefield because it houses everything from headquarters right down to
Yeah.
frontline offense. I think it qualifies
Oh,
as
yeah.
the entire the army, the force, as you
It
will.
could be, yeah.
It is
I mean,
every part of a battle.
You could
in
take a
one.
planet with the Death Star without destroying it. You could use the garrison inside
Oh,
to
sure.
take an entire planet over.
Probably, yeah.
Sure.
Well, that's the
And it
advantage
always
to being
has escort vessels and stuff.
Do you know one of the early foreshadowings that they were gonna fake it because they played to the moon landing when they made it.
Oh my god.
Notice he says maybe it went behind that small moon there.
That's no moon.
That's no
That's
moon.
a space station.
So there you go.
That's not.
That was
no.
them. They called it a small. What do we have? We have a small moon.
But it's not a moon. It's actually a space station.
They were again letting you know, foreshadowing they're going to fake this explosion.
No.
Yeah.
I think you're being a dick right now.
Am I?
Yeah.
A troll,
Being
maybe?
a troll. Yeah.
There we go. As long as I can get
God.
myself some status. All right. Well, I'm going to go 4chan about this for a little while.
Yeah, you're gonna go on
Is-
4chan.
can we make 4chan? Is 4chan a verb yet? Hey,
No.
I'm tired of rambling about this. Hey, by the
Same.
way, I just have to say this. I'm going to point this out because I did put it in the. I said I wanted to talk about the impeachment hearing, and there's one thing that I have to say about the impeachment hearing. Everything is changing in what the impeachment hearings are. It's becoming now the Republicans are building a case to I don't know. What are they? Maybe they can kill the Democrat Party. They might be able to destroy the Democrat Party with this if they can find enough. They're saying that, it's possible they're finding a bunch of corruption. I don't think they're finding it at the levels that people are accusing Donald Trump of, but they're they're trying to create this trail of corruption that goes all the way back to the Democrats orchestrating everything that happened in the 2016 election.
The thing is, any corruption that's actually real is going to way outweigh any made-up massive corruption that Trump supposedly allegedly did.
Or are they letting these rumors float out there that they're just trying to basically give Democrats enough rope to hang themselves,
right,
in a 4D chess move to make the Democrats back off in some way? Is that possible?
Anything's possible with Christ, Robert.
I gotcha. All right, so folks, anybody that's still out there, hit the like button if you haven't hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't hit the subscribe button. Talk to some people and make sure that they're liking and subscribing. Come check us out. We like this. We like doing this, and we like you liking us doing this. We like you subscribing to us doing this. John, we've got something coming up in the near future. Can you please explain to these lovely folks what that's going to be?
Yes, Friday, December 6th. We have our 12-hour charity live stream for Toys for Tots.
Toys for Tots.
We're raising money for them. Going to be awesome. We've got 2 confirmed guests already. We've got Matt Christensen coming on, and Dev from Short Fat Otaku is going to be here.
I'm counting Anna Voltis as well.
And Anna Voltis, I guess. He's not really that special.
What? He's got he would.
I'm just joking. It's fine.
He gets. Is he classified as a cool guy in our Discord? He should be.
Yeah, he is.
All right, so then he counts as a guest.
But speaking of that, go join our Discord.
Yeah, do that.
Follow us on Twitter at GenGapP.
Do that.
And also go check out freedomscoop.com where you can find awesome merch. Yeah, our merch is there. You can buy a Generational Gap T-shirt and a fancy Generational Gap coffee mug, and something else, right? You have your own mug, right? Like an actual mug.
Not a mug. I have the thermos. I have the thermos as well. I've thought about getting the mug done. Yeah, definitely some good merchandise there. All sorts of fun stuff.
And the promo code GenGap will get you 15% off of that. So that'll be awesome. And the shipping prices just went down as well.
I like that.
That was even more savings than ever before.
I like that.
We must be crazy.
And Freedom
giving it away.
And Freedom Scoop's got a new look. It's been updated. It's special looking. It's fantastic. It's exciting. I suggest everybody go check it out. So, John, we've got that coming up in 2 weeks. Next week, we have our regular Shooting the Shit episode that's going to be coming at you on Monday night at 9 o'clock, which is going to be a lot like this episode, just on Monday, apparently.
And only an hour long, usually.
Now, are we...
to fucking almost 2 hours of rambling about... I got us totally off topic, didn't I?
Yeah, you kind of twisted the show.
I really didn't mean to. It just kind of worked out that way.
I'll tell you off mic. I already know why and where and how. I can explain it all. But I'm not going to... I won't embarrass you. You'll want to shave your beard off by the time I'm done.
No, I probably won't.
No, it's doubtful.
More to hide my shame,
There's a lot to hide. You need more beard.
I'm working on it. But... you can actually be the ones out there. You out there could be the ones who make this whole beard go away completely. All you have to do is help us reach our goal for our 12-hour live stream for Toys for Tot. Don't know if you mentioned it yet. If we reach the goal, I'm going to shave my entire beard, sideburns, neck beard, everything, completely clean shaved, live on the air.
As clean as the day you were bored.
Right. Baby smooth.
Nice.
Yeah. So if you want to see that, if you want that to happen, check out our charity live stream on Friday, December 6th, and you may just get to see that.
Let's make sure and qualify want to see that, John. It's more a Schadenfreude
Yes.
thing than anything else. Not a desire to see what's under there.
Oh, yeah, it's going to hurt you guys way more than it hurts me.
Oh,
so.
it's hurting me to think about it because I've seen you like that. Yeah. It's going to
Yep.
be a drastic shift. All right, so let's get the hell out of here. Oh, what I was going to say is next week we have Thanksgiving on Thursday, so we should be doing our normal stream on Friday without any major hiccups. We'll probably talk about some turkey-related things, some Black Friday-related things, exciting fun like that. I'm sure my lovely bride may have some fun horror stories to tell me about the entire retail industry.
Yeah.
Because that's always fun. But anyway, so we're going to get the hell out of here. And with that being said, John, take us out.
Yeah.
I love putting you on the spot. You're No? You got nothing?
I already said everything.
You said everything you could?
Yep.
I thought you might have some exciting outro for us, but who am I? All right, folks, we're gonna get the hell out of here. John, have a good night. Talk to you later, folks. Peace.
It's